Hello everybody, it's Max with Crypto Talk now. Jasmy came out with a fan token. What are fan tokens? Well, let's jump right into today's Jasmy coverage. And check this out. This was interesting. This actually comes straight from their site. And I want to show you guys this because my key thing is I already have an understanding about how big this can be. And look at this. It says fan token support summit to be held from the stadium to the metaverse space. Please enjoy the support and event to the fullest together, whether near or far. Scheduled for home games after July 23rd, 2023. We will inform you as soon as the scheduled details are decided. Of course, I went ahead and blew this up as much as I could for you can see it a lot easier. It says benefits on the day of the summit only decided. It says invitation to watching games, including invitation to VIP seats, with commentary of Sagan Tosu OB. Now, for people who just came into this, you're probably thinking, I have no idea what the heck you're talking about. All right, we got to break it down for you if that's the case. So I want to show you guys this. And I'm personally invested into Chili's. I've been a fan of it. I've held it in 2021. I hold it again now. And of course, you know, let's face it, Chili's, if you're aware of this, they kind of had a buy the rumor, sell the news moment. I thought that the price was really going to move when the World Cup came around, right? But I also should have done more of my own research of realizing that it was in Qatar, and there's something to be said about that. You know, there was a lot of FUD because, let's face it, it was in Qatar. All right, this is a Jasmy video. Get back to the point. Right, I get it. So if you're not aware of what a fan token is, I'm just going to give you the quick gist, like you see right here. It says one of the most popular questions gets asked is basically, what are Chili's tokens and what are fan tokens? To put it simply, Chili's is a cryptocurrency which you can use to buy fan tokens, fully fungible digital assets which live on the Chili's blockchain. Both Chili's and fan tokens utilize the ERC20 token standard. Now, here's the key thing, right? I want people to understand this. I've stated, of course, numerous times that I felt as though Chili's was the ESPN of crypto, especially everything they have connected to not just soccer, right? Most of the world calls it football, but understanding that it's a cryptocurrency used to buy fan tokens, right? Manchester, you know, you're a fan of Manchester United, you know, Chelsea, some of these other particular soccer teams, right? Real Madrid, you name it, right? But check this out. You're now starting to see this in regards to the whole thing with Jasmy. And before we actually get into this, let me backtrack real quick. If you're wondering, well, what's the significance of this? Well, I want to show you this. This shows the year-on stats for Chili's, okay? And if anything, you know, a lot of us, when we originally reported about this at CTN, was basically in summer 2022. We saw a bottom of roughly 8 cents. A lot of you guys, all right? Not you guys specific, especially some of you new folks from Jasmy, but if anything, you know, pretty nice, decent gains from the 8-cent range to what you see here, right? This thing is no joke. And on top of that, this is currently ranked 55th. Now, I get it. This is not a Chili's video. But again, have a broader understanding of the potential for fan tokens. That should be the key takeaway here when it comes to Jasmy. Again, like I mentioned in the other particular videos, understand that Jasmy is not a single layer utility coin/token. No, not the case. If anything, Jasmy does have a few layers of utility, and there's something to be said about that, because if anything, it'll give you a broader perspective of the potential price on the upside of where this can go. There's something to be said about entering a distressed asset at where? Bottom or near bottom. Now, don't get me wrong. Some, you know, macroeconomic things could happen in the world. Doom and gloom, World War III, you know, not getting the regulatory clarity we need, black swan events, you name it. This thing could tank even more. But if anything, I'm sure glad that my entry point was roughly around 0.006362, right around that particular area, instead of, I hate to say it, being a person that came into Jasmy at the top of the mountain at $4 or close to $5, right? Nobody wants to be that guy. It's just like nobody wants to be the guy who came into Bitcoin at 69K and bought a full Bitcoin at 69K and is hoping to God that this thing will go to 100,000. No, that's a different story. I feel as though that could very well happen. You know, people get a second chance at that. But as far as Jasmy, as far as Terra Luna, some of these other ones, it's all about what? Entering in during the bottom or near the bottom of that particular distressed asset. And let's face it, Jasmy is still technically a distressed asset. But when you have done more of your own research, and of course we have provided you that here at CTM, and have a broader understanding of there's some big things happening in regards to the unbanning, right, of the stable coins and so on for the likes of Japan, man, that risk to reward ratio becomes now that much more attractive. Anyway, let's get into this. So it says, with this, you get this invitation of watching games. And how are you going to do this? Through their particular fan token. Now, it says access to events inside and outside the stadium on match days, discounts at retail outlets inside and outside the stadium on match days, provision and purchase of fan token original special goods. And of course, this is taken from the particular Jasmy site, and of course, it's interpreted in English. You have to bear with me; some of it's not perfect. But look at this: participation in special metaverse support space with special guests, events, and prizes. If there's any eligible applicants, it will be a lottery or first come first served basis. Additional benefits are under consideration, and we announce soon as they're decided. But what's the key takeaway here? If you're a fan of, you know, this specific team that they have this particular fan token, right, and you're in Japan, you will be able to have access to some of these events, maybe even the players, the team, and so on. There's the utility. Again, that's another form of utility, and I think it's pretty interesting to say the least. I would play this particular video for you, but I mean, it's unless you're Japanese, you're going to get it, but I didn't want to get into that. It says, I will charm you. Expand Sagan Tosu. Right? That's the name of this particular fan token. Let's convey the feelings of Sagan Tosu. To path to summit participation, how to participate. You know, they even give you instructions. Let's face it, this is more, you know, focused towards people who live in Japan who may be a fan of Sagan Tosu. But again, an app in itself, that's utility. And, you know, we talk about, for instance, various different crypto projects in which there is NFT, and the NFTs with utility. Does your NFT, is it just basically a JPEG with a cool picture and it has a store of value like, you know, on Ethereum or Polygon and that's it? Or is it a certain utility based NFT, like for instance, and I know there's a lot of bad news with ALPT lately, but ALBT really stands out for utility-based NFTs, right? Like a passport. Again, Jasmy, draw your own connection to how significant this is. This, if anything, could be the start of other fan-based tokens and so on, right? I don't think it just ends here. So, you know, there's a little bit more in regards to this. You know, I, of course, am not going to participate in this because why? I don't live in Japan and whatnot, but my key thing is understanding why this is significant and why I want to bring it to, if anything, you guys and so on, because, you know, it's good to recognize these particular things. You know, like it says, easy to understand the Internet of Things for society. This affects Japanese society, basically. And on top of that, I don't think it ends here. You know, if you know about Japan, you know, for instance, baseball is the #1 sport there. So they could do other things in the future. It could be baseball. It could be anything and everything. I don't think it stops right here with what you see. But yeah, this was basically posted there. Says fan tokens also feature new characters. Look forward to seeing what characters will appear. They give you kind of like a teaser, I guess you could say here. New characters will be revealed in the fan tokens in sequence. Joining is easy. I mean, they give people kind of like a gist of how to do this. And let's face it, on top of it, you can go like on the App Store or Google Play and you can test this out for yourself. But the key thing here, guys, is understanding that this is a different layer of utility. For us to honestly believe especially with the FUDders out there, you know, and I'm sure you've seen a few of them. I'm not going to even mention this one main guy's name because I'm sure he would just love to be mentioned publicly. But, you know, when you look more into this, right, again, chilies, there's something to be said about that. Now, some people might say this is apples and oranges. Not exactly. You know, I mean, yeah, chilies is all focused on fan tokens and so on. Obviously, Jasmy isn't because of data. But again, there's something to be said about this. If you can create multiple layers of utility, that in itself has value. That in itself, in a bull run, can do things. Don't listen to the FUD. Understand the research that's presented. And if anything, guys, understand that we will always pay close attention to anything and everything in regards to Jasmy moving forward. I'm excited about it. And if anything, at these particular price levels, I have been watching the charts closely, and I'm considering making a second, getting into a second position, the second bag, and so on. Some of you guys have a lot more Jasmy than I do, and so on. And, you know, it's not that I'm rooting for a black swan event. Who would? But it's also understanding that there's something to be said about distressed assets, and it's all about when you enter the particular distressed asset, and if the distressed asset has value there still for you. And if it does, where are they going forward? The biggest thing still, again, is this whole thing about the lifting of the ban for US-based and other foreign-based stablecoins. That's massive. So we'll continue to follow what's going on with Jasmy going forward. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you love our Jasmy coverage, I also encourage you to check out some of our other particular videos, especially if you're new. We do cover Jasmy quite often, and we also bring you guys news updates on our live show, which is at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, every single day of the week for Crypto Talk Now. Thanks again for watching today's Jasmy video. Y'all have a blessed day. We'll see you on the next one.